So, hi everyone. I believe I'm audible and visible, guys. So, please confirm so that we can start with a discussion. So, Ankit, Vaibhav, Rishabh, Raj, everyone, Anu. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Okay, guys. So, let's start. So, we were talking about basically an API, and we have seen like a couple of operations so far. So, we are going to extend the same because there are a lot to discuss with respect to an API. Yeah. So probably it is going to take like a one, two more classes because inside an API itself, so we'll be talking about cross. We'll be talking about basically a middleware. We'll be talking about even authentication because entire system technically runs on this backend part. Backend is technically nothing but the API, right? So that is something that we'll try to understand so that we can try to use it everywhere because without this you can't do anything. Okay, so I believe my screen is visible. Now, so in my last class, I was talking about this main.py file, and we have seen that how we can try to write get. This was a file, right? Okay, I think maybe this is a new folder. Fast API file, open folder, API. Yes, I believe this one. Okay. So on that day, basically, we were talking about the API part, and we have seen that how we can try to create a GET request, how we'll be able to create a post request, and what is the difference between GET and post request. Not just that, so we have also seen that what is the meaning of a pydentic and how we can try to write our own conditions, basically, so that it will be able to filter out the data, a data which is going to come inside your method or functions that you are going to write at any point of a time. So, so many things we have discussed so far on that particular day. So now let me create one another file called as main one dot py file, main one, right? So I'm just leaving that main file as it is. And yeah, so basically, let's try to, you know, create our one environment as well. So a new environment. The previous one, I believe I have already deleted. So let's try to quickly create one environment. If you already have that environment, it's completely fine. So you can try to use the same. So here Python hyphen m venv. Okay. Now pip install Flask API. Sorry, Fast API. Oh, so I have to install it inside my environment. So first of all, I'm going to activate my environment. So it is going to be basically venv slash script slash activate. Scripts scripts. Okay, so environment is activated. So now what we can do? So we can do pip install Flask. Pip install Fast API. So now everything is installed. I have just deleted that environment. So I believe when I was creating a folder to share with all of you. So fine. So now let's start writing our code over here, and we'll try to add a lot of like a concept today, and we'll try to understand a lot of things in today's class. So first of all, let me import some of these things. So from Fast API, basically. So from Fast API, import Fast API, comma HTTP exceptions path query status, and then from typing import annotated, then from pydentic Pydantic import base model email str field. So these are the import that you have to do, guys. So let me ping you this imports so that all of you can do the same import. So yes, these are the import which you are supposed to even do. If there will be some issues, so we'll try to fix those issues in terms of a import or maybe like a spelling mistake. So we'll try to check those out. Not an issue at all. So here we have a fast API import, which is basically like a done. Now what we can do, so let's try to create an object of a fast API. So simple. So app is equals to fast API. And then here, so inside that, we can try to write a name. So if I wanted to give, so there is something called as title. So title is equals to this is my test API. And then apart from that, you can also set DSC RIPTIO in description. Description. And description is like, I am learning it. And then apart from that, you can also set a version. So version is equals to, let's say, like, 1.0.0. So these are the additional things that you can try to attach with respect to a app when you are going to create or an object of a fast API whenever you are going to create. Now, once this part is done, now what we are going to learn today. So we have already seen basically a get and post, and yes, successfully we were able to test it. So we'll try to understand the complete CURD operation. So when we say CURD operation, right, so basically it's a CRUD. And what does that mean? So CRUD. So this means that create, this means that basically read, this means that update, and this means that delete, right? So all of these operations we are going to learn, or we are going to understand in a step by step manner basically. So let's try to understand all of these operations by using a fast API. So here, technically what we are going to do, so we will be like, talking about obviously a get and post that we have already discussed. But along with that, so we'll be talking about even a put, patch, and delete, right? So that we can understand the entire code operation. So here, what we are going to do. So as we are going to perform, post, put, patch, all of these operations. So let's try to create a Pydantic class. So here, student, student, create, student create is one of the class I'm going to create, which is going to inherit base model so that it will become a Pydantic class. So we have already discussed how to create a Pydantic class. So here, what we can do, so we can write a validation over here that there will be a field called as name, and name should always be str basically, and is equal to field, field. And then we are going to write a restriction that minimum length is equals to minimum length is equals to 2, and then max length is equals to 100. So we have written a validation for basically a name, that what it should be and how it fields should look like. Then let's say email. So we have already like written this things as well. So email str, I can try to use it for email validation. Then for age, so integer, and let's say I'm going to write fi eld field, and then inside that, so we can try to give that it should be greater than, let's say, 16, and then it should be lesser than equal to maybe like 90 year, something like that I can try to put over here. Then course, so course should be str, and field should be basically, so minimum length of the course is equals to 2, and then maximum length is equals to basically 90. Okay. So this is one of my Pydantic class I have created for student create. So whenever, I have to create the student. So maybe I can try to use this Pydantic class name, email, age, and courses I'm going to fill up. Now, whenever I have to update the student, so again, I'm going to use like, put and patch operation. So Let's try to create a identity class for student update. student student update update. Now here, so again, let me inherit the base model just to make it like identic base model. So here, what we are going to do, so name will be there, and then like let me copy the same instead of rewriting everything. So yes, name field is equals to this one. Now here, so let me add a couple of more fields. At the time of update, this will be used. So here default is equals to none. Let's say I have added rest of the things as completely same. Then email str default should be none. So default D small. Okay. DFAULT default. Or it's showing me error. So none is equals to none. Okay. So this will work. Now, so age field. So here again, I can try to put default. So default is equals to for age none. Now here, so again, we have a course, and inside course, we can try to add default is equals to none. So this is the only addition that we have to do in case of a student update. I'll tell you why. What is the reason? So there is a proper reason behind it. So, in case of a update, so why we should give default is equals to none? Because sometime, you have to update all the fields, and sometime you have to update just a one single field. And both the updates are going to be different. It's not going to be same at all. And this is where, put and patch comes into picture. And keeping that in mind, so I'm just trying to create a separate identity class for student update so that it will be able to do a validation just for the update operation, one or maybe all. And here, so I'm just trying to create basically like, student create identity classes for a validation. Okay, so this validation part is done. Let me ping you this piece of the code, the all piece of everything I can ping you. Yeah. So now till this point, you have a code available inside your system. Now let's do one thing. So let's try to create one in-memory list as well, right? A list data as well. We can try to create. So instead of using a list, as of now I'm using list, you can try to replace this list with any kind of a databases as well. So as we have already studied about a databases, so maybe you can try to just update this list with the databases. So it is going to work in the similar manner. Eventually, we are going to do it in a future as well. So students, students, students. As of now, I'm just trying to create in-memory list. TS students. And here, so let's try to do one thing. So let's try to create a data. So I'll be creating like a two data, by the way. I'll be creating two data over here. So here ID is equals to, let's say, one I'm going to give, and then name is equals to, let's say, I'm going to give Sudhanshu, and then basically email or Gmail is equals to sudh at the rate gmail.com. I can try to give, and then here, so maybe age is equals to 35. I can try to give, and then your URSC course is equals to, I can try to give basically uh fast API, let's say. Okay, fine. So this is one of the student I have created, right? So likewise, I can try to create another student as well. So here I can just try to change the ID is equals to ideally 2. That is going to be name is equals to, let's suppose, Rahul, Rahul 34, Python. So this is just a in-memory data I have created. Like I said, so you can try to replace this entire data with a database as well. So as we already know that how to connect with the MongoDB or maybe with a Neon 4j, Supabase, all of those things, we are already aware about it. So instead of this, you can try to, create a database, and then inside that table and inside that, you can try to hold all of these data, and then you can read all of those operations in the similar manner by creating a connection string. So I've already pinged you this particular part as well inside your chat box. Now let's try to do one more thing. So once this part is ready, once my identity class is ready, so one by one, so we can start writing our operation. So as of now, I have not done anything. So just created the object of app classes we have created over here for update and create. And then this is a small data set I have created. That's it, right? So that I can try to create, like, update and all those operations I will be able to perform. So let's try to write the entire CURD operation with respect to this data set itself, the data set which is available in my local, right, which is available as a list. So here I'm going to write a function called as get underscore student student, right? Get student. This is the function which I'm going to write. Now, so how this function, like, parameter will look like, so COURSC course. So it is supposed to be string. So whenever I'm like, asking for it, and here, so none is equals to none. Okay. So str. Okay. So this is my get student, student, get student. So fine. So whenever someone has to, like, get the student, so maybe they can try to pass this parameter. Maybe otherwise it is going to take none, by the way. And yeah, so maybe a limit someone can try to pass with respect to this one. So where I'm going to use annotated over here. And then inside annotated, I can write the condition that, integer and query should be equal to, so query should be equal to greater than equal to 1 or lesser than equal to basically 100, let's say, right? 100 over here. And then default value is going to be 10. So either person can pass course. Again, so if they are not going to pass, by default, it is going to be none. Or a person can try to pass a limit that I'm looking for the number of the students. If not, in that case, 10. So it will do what? So it will try to give you the student detail, right? As simple as that. So result, so result is equals to students, students. So whatsoever data will be available to me, so I'm going to pass that data. Let's suppose my data is available inside the databases. So obviously here the query will come into picture, right? Query will come into picture. So by default, it is going to give you result is equals to student, right? Result is equals to student. Now here, so I'm going to write a condition that if course, right? So if someone is going to give a course name, so let's say someone is going to pass this parameter via doing get operation. So if course, so in that case, your result is equals to SULT. Result is equals to what? So result is going to be, and then inside that, you can try to basically write maybe a for loop, because you have to only give a student name. So where course is equals to whatsoever courses name person is going to pass, right? So result is equals to for I in students I in student. So fine, I in student, and it is going to basically return all the student, let's say student student, it is going to return. So I'm just writing condition comprehensive over here. And again, I'm going to write the condition that if students students s basically of course the parameter that someone is going to course courses, right? Dot courses dot lower, so convert that into a lower, is equal to course dot lower, right? So here, so if someone is going to pass a courses, basically courses over here, if someone is going to pass the courses, if someone is going to pass basically a courses, so it will try to check for that if courses for I in a student, so it is going to iterate through this loop, right? It is going to iterate through this particular loop, and then it is going to basically check. Here we have a course, right? So if student of course, basically, so it will try to check there that student of course, this one is equals to the courses value that student have provided. If that is the case, in that situation, it is going to give you the return, right? It is going to give you the return, as simple as that. So this is a comprehension. So you can try to write it in a multiple line, or maybe you can try to write it in a one single line. It's just up to you. So here, why it is giving me this error? So result is equals to students. Yeah, that's fine. It should be students for I in, okay. Hmm. For I in students, right? The whole students. Yeah. and this is my return. So this return should not give me any error. Student is not defined. I'm not supposed to even like define the student, by the way. It's a comprehension that we are doing. And I don't think that I have made any kind of a mistake so far for a student. Oh, sorry. I have written, right? Always I used to write like a I. So yeah, that was a confusion. And then I'm returning this one. Okay. So for I in a student, fine. So this is something that it is going to return as a result, right? Very, very simple. So here what I will do, so I'll try to write a return of this function. So return what? RETUN return. And return over here the count. So count is going to be a length of a result, right? And then basically colon limit if limit is given to you, because max to max the one is like 100, it is 10 it is going to provide, right? And then students so is equals to result, and again the limit, max to max 10 student, it is going to show you the limit. Okay, fine. So this is something that you will be able to get it as a return, as simple as that. So we have written all the constraint condition, each and everything. And yeah, so if someone is not going to pass a course name, someone is not going to pass basically a limit or anything. So in that case, what will happen? So in that case, simply result is equal to students. So it is going to return all the students. And here, so it is going to show you this as a result. I mean like limit. So limit by default is going to be 10, as simple as that. So now let me copy this one and let me send it to you. Line number 44, we need a student's course lower, not students right. We need a student course lower, student and then courses. It should be students, this one, and then what is the variable name? So course, right? So I think it's correct. Yeah. See this one, this name and this name. I'm reading something from this particular list, right? So I will be able to read it out when I get into this list, and then I will try to filter it out. I mean, it's dictionary, by the way. Inside the list from dictionary, we are trying to read it out. Okay, so now this is done. So I can try to call this as an API. So what I can do, I can try to decorate this as an API. So app dot get, and then let me give a route to it. So student students, right? So this is my route. Now let me start this entire program. So to start this entire program, uvcon, right? Uvcon main one dot app, main one is my file name, and then reload reload. Impacting main one must be in a format, module, and attribute. Yeah, so main one dot py file. main one dot py file. Yes, there should not be any kind of a issue at all. Okay, so issue is colon, right? So yeah, main one app the file. So now it is going to run. So uvcon main one colon app and then reload. So now it is going to execute it, and then it is going to basically work. I will be able to test it. So let me go and test it. So let's open up this URL inside one of your like browser, and then slash, so I can try to write docs docs so that I will be able to test it here. Okay, so it's a get. And then here, so it is asking me for a course, which is not mandatory. So I'm not able to see a red static over here. Limit is also not mandatory. Try this out and then execute. Now, once I'm going to execute, so it is going to give me response. Response is 200, response body count 2 students, all the student detail, I'm able to get it, right? Now, course wise, let's say if I'm going to pass Fast API as a course name. So let's say I'm going to pass Fast API as a course name. So here internal server error, why? So Fast API limit is equals to 10. So here if I'm giving, let me check guys. Fast API is a course name which I have given. So in that case, students course is equals to COURES. Hmm. Okay, so let me see. Sorry, okay. So student, yes. I mean for one entity, right? So yes, technically that's correct. Let me do Control S. And then here we can go and we can try to test it once again. So courses, try it out. Fast API. Now I'm able to get the details. As you can see, course count, student ID is equal to this, courses is equal to, course is equal to Fast API. So I'm able to get this particular detail, right? Very, very simple. So now this API is working fine. This endpoint is working fine for me. So I can try to move ahead now. Making sense, guys? Yeah, all of us are able to execute. So just change over here. So it should be one, right? So one by one, you are trying to extract it. So let me ping you this function so that all of you can try to use it. Okay. So just try to use this one, guys. Yeah, try to use it and then test it. Now, so let's say we are looking for only one student. So we can try to write API for that as well, right? So here we can try to, pass just a student ID and then it will be able to like do the things. Now let's go ahead and let's try to create a post, right? Let's try to create a post. So get is something that we have done. Get is clear, right? I believe this is a revision of the previous class that we are trying to do. So we have already like now we are writing each and everything in a very structured manner. A structured manner means we are trying to write everything in a beautiful like by writing all the conditions, each and every kind of a things. I mean like we are trying to follow the proper standard. Done everyone? Are we able to execute? Yes. So only Akash. What about others? Okay, almost everyone. I'm not sure why I'm getting error. Email validator is not installed. Pip install Pydantic. By default, I believe when you do pip install fast API, right? So by default, it installs Pydantic. You don't have to install additionally. Maybe you can go and check inside your virtual environment. So go here, go inside the library, and then maybe you can check Pydantic must be installed. See here, Pydantic installed. And inside that, if you'll go and check, you will be able to find out like email itself, email as well. So if Pydantic is there, then it should not give you in general an issue, but yeah, if it is giving you an issue, then just do a pip. So you don't have to install additionally anything. Okay, so now here guys, what we are going to do, so we will try to basically create a post request. So again, we'll try to follow all the standards. And while creating a post request, so we'll try to create this class student create because post requires a Pydantic class. Without this help, post will not be able to like do each anything by the way. So here, let's write a function. So create create underscore student the student. Okay, fine. Now here, so a student dent student, and it is going to inherit what? It is going to basically take this particular class called as student create as a pydantic. Okay, so I have just made it as a pydantic, so it is going to refer to that particular class. Now, so whenever I'm trying to create a new student, so whenever this API will be called, so first of all, this should check that whether student is available or not. If some student is already available, it should not create, right? It should not create. So we can try to check based on the ID, we can try to check based on the email, whatsoever we want, whatsoever is our logic is, we can try to check based on that. And it should not technically create it If there is no, because this is what we do even with respect to a databases, right? So we are doing a CRUD operation. So same operation that we do with respect to a databases. So here, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to iterate through my existing list, right? I'm going to iterate through my existing list. So what I will do, I'll write this basically a loop over here, that for existing student existing students in students students, right? So basically, I'm going to iterate through this students, this one, by the way, yeah. One by one, I'll try to fetch the record. And then if I'm going to test this, check this student duplication based on their email ID, let's say, right? So if ex existing students, it should be like same. Yeah. Student existing students, basically email. I think I have written Gmail over here. So Gmail student existing student Gmail is equal to basically, right, is equal to student 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 dot email, right? Student dot email. So in that case, basically raise rai raise my custom exception, right? So http, I think I have also discussed about the custom exception, so here I'm using it, right? So raise my custom exception status status code. So status code is equals to status status dot http underscore 409 underscore unflict. Let me write in caps unflict conflict, and give a detail. So detail is equals to a uh, student with this mail ID already there in DB. Fine. So this is something that I have written as a custom exception if that student is already exist. So this is for that condition, right? Now, so if this is not the condition, if it is able to do all the checks by the way, right? So I will just come in parallel to this one, and then I will try to write. So try to create a new variable. So new student student is equal to, and then inside that, so we are going to write id. So id is equals to max of item of id for item in students. Yeah. So I'm just trying to iterate through my students. So students, I'm going to iterate through my students. I'm trying to basically basically iterate through those students, and then I'm trying to create an ID. So let's say ID is 1 and 2. So both exist. So it will go and check. So all the ID. So max is equal to 2. So it should give 2 plus 1. So basically max plus 1 it should give. So plus 1 it is supposed to give. Default should be equal to default should be equal to 0, let's say, right? So this is inside the max function and plus 1, right? So simple, the meaning is it will go to this one, it will go to this one, check id is equal to 2. So fine, max is 2, 2 plus 1 3. So next id it is going to define as a id is equals to this one. Okay, fine. So once it is going to define, and anyone, so when you anyone who is going to create the students, they will try to pass what? They will try to pass basically name, email, age, and courses. Four things they are supposed to pass, because this is what I have written inside the Pydantic. So name, email, age, and courses are something that they are going to provide. ID I have already taken care of. Okay. So once they are going to provide, I'll just try to pass it as it is. So maybe I can try to call like a key value pair. So double static student dot model underscore du mp dump. So whatsoever it is going to basically create, I'm going to just dump it in this particular place, which is coming from where? Which is coming from my Pydantic class itself. Okay. So this is how it is going to create a new student. So once new student will be here inside this variable, like new student means like basically ID and then name, email ID, each and everything is there. What I will do, so I will try to call basically this students list, the list that we have dot append. I will try to call so that I can add it, or I will be able to append it. So append what? A new student. So just try to append it and then return. So return what? So return what? So return new, return return new student. Simple. So whatsoever student that we have created, so it is supposed to return that after appending it. So now control S, and then this is my create student function, which is ready. Now, if I have to expose this one, so I will write app dot post, and then I will try to create a route that update student student, or I will write like add student. Okay, fine. So this is something which I'm going to write. So at this route, anyone will be able to come and anyone will be able to update it. So now let's go here and then try to refresh it. And then I'm able to see this endpoint called as add student. Now, if I'm going to click on execute, so here, these are the things that I'm supposed to mention. Name, email ID, age, and courses, right? So name is equals to, let's say, um, Ankit, right? Ankit. And then Ankit at the rate gmail.com. 16 age, and then course is basically test. Fine. So this is basically a detail I'm trying to pass, and I'm going to click on execute. So once I'm going to click on execute, so as you can see, it has created ID is equal to 3, right? It has technically created ID is equal to 3. Name is equal to Ankit. Email is equal to this. Age is equal to this. Course is equal to this. So yes, it is able to increase the ID, and it is able to basically add the detail. Again, I'm going to execute it. So here, as we all know that it is going to check the email id, right? Email id check I have written. So click, and then this time it is telling me that when you are trying to add something, so error, internal server error, response body internal server error, content length 21, it should give me a proper exception, by the way, which it is not able to give. So it is not able to. Okay, fine. So to do that, I have to write like basically try and catch you over here. Then only it will be able to catch. I mean, it is able to. It must be able to see. You must be able to see those exceptions here inside this one. So I have raised the exceptions. So again, I have to basically, apply basically accept so that it will be able to accept it. I mean, like try accept block. I have to write it over there, right? So otherwise, key error Gmail. Fine. So uh, or Gmail student class. Student create object has no attribute called as Gmail. Did you mean email? Student object, yes, it should be email actually. I mean, it should go there. Gmail is my variable name, right? Gmail is here. Hmm. So Gmail is equals to email. Fine. Yeah. So the only reason is that I have to basically add try and accept, then only it will be able to catch this particular part because I'm raising the exceptions, but yeah, so I'm not able to basically catching it. So I have tried try and accept, then only it will work. So yes, student addition is done. I'm able to add it. So let's say I'm saying Ankit one, and then execute. So I will be able to add it. What happened? Try it out. Fine, 200. Again, internal server error on 800. No, it should add actually. There is a Gmail email confusion. Existing students, Gmail. So I'm trying to fetch existing student from students, and a students is having basically a Gmail. Yes, it should work. Let me remove this confusion. Let's make it email itself. Okay, try this out. Ankit, and then like Ankit 1 test. Execute. Yes, everything is working. ID is equal to 3, name is equal to Ankit. Email this course test. Now, same thing if I'm going to execute. So internal server error. So fine, 500 it is giving me. Let's say I'm going to make a changes. Ankit 341 only in email ID. So yeah, now it is able to take it. So ID is equal to 4. So it is able to validate on email, and accordingly it is behaving. There is no issue at all. So now ID is equal to 5, Ankit 5, it is able to add. So similarly, now it will work for everything, by the way. Yeah. So now it's working. So you just have to add a try and accept over here so that it will be able to catch it. Yeah. So that it will be able to catch it, and then it will be able to show the proper error at any point of a time. So whenever it is getting into this particular one. So just write a try in this particular place and put all the code. Okay, working. Execute again. Execute, execute, execute. It is not able to. So try, I have written, and then even though there is a same email ID, it is able to add it, which should not be the case. I'm calling if existing student raise HTTPS, fine, and then catch it. So catch maybe just HTTPS details. So just a minute, guys. It is still adding, means even though there is a try, sorry. So even though I'm trying to catch it, Let me remove this one from here. Control Z. Okay, just execute this piece of the code, and then there is a detail. The correct parameter is, let's suppose, details. It should be able to catch even in this case. So try it out, and then SUDH, SUDH, and then here test. Okay, so it's working. ID3. Okay, now it's working. Yeah. So there was an issue with this parameter called as detail. So there should be detail, not a details. That's a correct parameter. So it is able to basically raise the exceptions, by the way. Even though I'm not catching it, but yeah, so raise is working over here. So it is able to raise this 409 conflict status with the status code, and then detail is basically my custom message. It is able to reflect. So this is a post method, guys, tested, trialed, and with the help of this, you will be able to technically add it. Yeah. So just try this out. Now, once this post part is done, now let's move to the next one. So get and post is something that we are able to do it. Now, let's say if I have to update something, right? So if I have to update something, let's say if I have a record over here, student with ID1, and this record I have to basically update this entire record. So, everything means literally everything I have to update with respect to some references. For example, for ID1, change each and everything, change name, email ID, age, and courses, each and everything. So at that point of a time, you can try to use basically put. So put is been used to update everything means literally everything. So here def, I can write a function called as replace student. And now here, so I can try to pass maybe student ID. And yeah, so that should be like an integer. So whenever I'm going to pass, and then there is a class I can try to basically use. So this one, student create class, identity class. So student student is dent student is equals to this identity class. Means whenever someone is trying to update, they are supposed to provide all the detail as per the identity class, name, email ID, age, courses, with all of this validation they are supposed to provide. So find replace student. So student ID plus basically for which student you would like to replace, and then this is the data that someone is supposed to provide. Okay. Now here, so what we are supposed to basically do. So we are supposed to basically find out the ID, that whether this ID is available or not, and against that, whatsoever data is available, so we are just supposed to wipe out the previous one, and then we have to technically update it with the latest one, right? So I can write over here something like for let me do one thing. So create indexes. So index EXISTING existing STUDENT student in enumerate. Anyone who is not aware about enumerate, by the way? Yeah. So what enumerate does? Students, STUDENTS, students. So a student is coming from my this data. I believe everyone is aware about it. Or if not, ping me. Yeah. Give a index value. Exactly. Yeah. So enumerate always try to give you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 by default. You can try to even give your own start indexes, and from there it will try to follow along. So here, let's say I'm trying to pass a students. So it is going to give a index basically, right? Index to each and every students. For example, I have like this student. So I have two records. So for this one, it is going to give you like a 0 as a index. For this one, it is going to give you 1 as a index, by the way. So which you will be able to see, check, and iterate. By default, list is also giving you indexes. But so I'm just trying to give indexes over here. So for index, and so it is going to basically return for this one index and the existing student. Okay. Now here, so I have to do all the replacement with respect to the student ID. So I can check that if existing student, EXIST, existing student of ID basically, right? So of ID is equal to is equal to the student ID which has been provided, right? So if I'm going to say that, okay, fine, go to ID number one. So if that is equal to the student ID which I have provided, so in that case, just try to call one thing. So in that case, say that replacement is equals to what? So replacement is equals to ID, and ID is going to be student ID itself. So ID I'm not going to change, same ID, right? ID, let's suppose one. But rest of the data which someone is going to pass here inside the identity class as a key value pair, so that I'm going to change it. Simple. model model dot dump dump. So whatsoever they are going to provide as per the identity class, which is this one. So all of this data I'm going to update with the same ID. So this is my replacement variable, right? Replacement variable. Okay. So inside replacement variable, I'm able to create a new entity. I have to basically, update it with respect to the existing list as well. So existing list is available in what? So it is available inside the students. Okay, students. Now students of index 0, we have to replace it what? So we have to replace it with the replacement. That's the reason. So I was trying to use a enumeration. And then, so this is where like, student of not 0, technically I should write. So student of index, basically the one that we are capturing. So student of index is equals to replacement. This data I am supposed to pass over here and then return what? So return replacement. So after replacement, just try to return me the replacement. Okay, cool. So this is something that we are able to do. Let's say if it is not able to find out the student. So let's say you are trying to pass a student ID, but it is not able to find out. In that case, do one thing. So in that case, raise the exception. So raise HTTP exceptions. And then here, so try to write the status code TUS status underscore code, and value can be 404, let's say I'm giving, and then my detail is equals to student ID not found. Fine. So this is the exception it is going to give it to me. Now here to test this function, so as I'm trying to update each and everything, so app dot put. So this should be the calling. And here just try to give basically a route. So students students slash, and here so I can ask someone to pass a student ID. So I can try to parameterize it. So student ID, someone is going to pass, and I'm going to just use it, and then I'm going to basically replace it. So this is the function. And this is the API that I've created for updating all the students. So let's go ahead and let's try to test this API. Yeah. So put is there, replace student. Now execute, try it out. So here I'm supposed to give a student ID. So student ID is equals to, let's say, 1. Now here name is equals to SUDH. So, and then email ID SUDHNSHU, full name. User example, this one, and then course is equal to test, execute. So internal server error, it is giving me fine. One I have given, and these are the detail which I have given. Okay, let's go and check what is the issue. So name, object attribute, item attribute, student create, object has no attribute, model model. Okay. So static student is coming from my class, and then model dot should not be dot, it should be underscore. Okay. Now let me refresh this once again and try this out. Let me pass the same value. Student ID is equals to 1. Execute. And yeah, so it is able to update it at student ID number 1. Very, very simple. So it is able to perform the update operation, by the way, guys. Let's say I'm giving ID is equals to 3. And then if I'm sending this request, so in that case, student ID not found. So student ID 3 is not available. So in case of students, it will try to update each and everything. So even my third API, which was a put API, so I'm able to test it. So get is tested, post is tested, put is tested. So all three endpoints are technically working for me. So let me send you this piece of the code. Yeah. Okay. So now once this part is done, let's try to talk about a patch. So put, always try to, and difference between put and patch is very simple. So as its name suggests, put means put will always try to update the entire things. And patch means it will try to just do a patching. Patching means, so if you have to update a partial information, not the whole information, so in that situation, basically patch will come into picture. So let's try to, create a function, right? Create a function. So here, def, I'm going to create a function called as update student. Student, update student. Fine. And here, so again, I'm going to pass a student ID, student, student underscore ID. It should be like, integer at any point of a time. And this time, I'm going to use a class called as student update class, so that people can provide data in that format. Student, student, and then this particular class. Simple. So now, so here, as I have mentioned, that I'm going to use a patch. Patch means I can update maybe just a name, maybe just a email ID, maybe just a age, maybe just a courses, right? I'm not going to update everything. So this is where patch comes into picture. Put means you have to update everything, right? You have to update everything. But patch means you can try to update just a partial, like, information. Okay, so almost similar, like a code. You have to write like a patch, with a little bit of like a differences. Yeah. So for I can write index index, and then existing student in students student de students, right? So here, just enumerate. Fine. So I will just try to iterate through it, enumerate it, and then if existing student of ID is equal to student student ID that has been provided by some user, right? So update underscore data is equals to student student student. So just call this one, right? Call this one and then try to call the data. So model underscore dump whatsoever data person is going to provide. And here, so one thing is very, very important to understand. So there is a parameter that we try to write called as exclude, exclude underscore unset, right, is equals to true. So this parameter is very much important. So if you would like to, do this kind of a patch operation, right? So that this is something which is going to help our entire like a model to get updated partially. So exclude unset. So do not do the unset basically. So this is what I have written. So update data. Now, so here, after writing this update data, so we can try to call updated student is equals to, and then here, so I can try to write existing student, just call it, and then updated data, right? So this is going to be my updated student. Very, very simple. Existing student and then updated student data. Now, once this particular part is done, then we can try to basically update the indexes. Very, very simple manner. Just like we have done it above, right? So a student of student, spelling mistake, this one, students of inds index is equals to updated student. So here I'm going to put the data and then return what? So return my updated students. As simple as that. Yeah. So return this one. So now this is going to help me out in terms of updating the entire students with the partial information at any point of a time. In case of any issues, so raise basically like, similar kind of a things. So maybe I can write it down here. So raise and then student ID not found. Control S. Now above this, I'm going to decorate it with app.patch, patch patch. And I'm going to provide a route for this one. So let's say student patch, patch, and then slash, try to provide what? Try to provide the student ID. So provide this student ID, control S. Now, once you're going to like, use it, you can now try to basically refresh it. So now student patch API endpoint is available to me. I can give a student ID, by the way. So I can say one, and then this one, this one, this one. Here I can write like a test and then execute. Now, so what it has done? So test. Okay. Student ID. So now this is the value for ID one. Just look at it, right? And now if I'm going to give test one, right? So as of now in memory, this is the data test one. So partial update I'm trying to call. So yes, it is able to do a partial update test one. Rest of the things are completely same. Okay, I'm giving all the values. So let me remove everything from here, right? Course is equal to test one. So I'm going to give basically test two, let's say test two over here, right? And then execute. Let's see. So all of these datas are going to be same for ID is equal to 1, whatsoever data that we had before. And it has just updated my course test 2. If I have to update age, so in this case, age equal to 16, right? So I can write age, and age is equals to, by the way, age is equals to, let's say this one, this now 342. Execute. So here you will be able to see that oh, less than equal to. So now Pydantic has stopped the entire things. Basically, 342 I have given. I think age limit was like only 90 I have given. So 45, right? So yes, it is just able to update the age. Rest of the things are same. That's the beauty of basically using patch. So it is not allowing me. I can update all the values. That patch is going to support. So instead of using patch, I will be using a put in that situation. But yes, let's say I have to update information in a partial order. So I will be able to update that information as well with the help of this patch. Make sense, guys? Everyone? Yeah. So how this patch is working and what is the difference between put and patch? Fine. So here is a piece of code, tested one, tested endpoints, basically. Okay. So, get is done, post is done, put is done, patch is done. Now we are able to understand it. Now let's try to understand basically, a delete operation, right? Very simple operation to understand, by the way, delete operation. So delete operation. So here I will write a function called as delete, def basically, delete underscore student student. So delete students, and then here, so I'm going to pass student student ID. So whatsoever student I would like to delete, I can just pass the ID, and then it will be deleted. So again, I'm going to write like a for index. So it is going to return indexes basically, and student is going to run in. So for this in students students, the list that we have, and then if student ID is equal to, I have tried enumeration, right? Okay. So if student ID is equal to the student ID that people have provided. Enumerate. Hmm. Student ID that person has provided. So in that situation, what is going to happen? So if this is the case, just to do one thing. So guys, if I have to delete something from a list, what I'm supposed to do, by the way? So which function I'm supposed to use? If I delete something from the list. while passing some like index value. So can I say pop? Very simple. So pop I can try to use, and I'll be passing the index value that pop this out. Very very simple, right? And then I can simply write over here that return, and I don't want anything in return. If you would like to write an exception, you can just call this one and then raise the exception if you want. Yeah, not here. Okay. So raise the exception 404 student ID not found. Fine. So now you can just try to expose it with the help of app.delete. Yeah. So delete app.delete. And then here, so you can try to create a stout student student slash student delete, and then try to pass your student ID over here. Very, very simple, right? Very simple. So it will be able to delete it. Return, let me write. So now I'm going to refresh it. So now delete is available to me. I can call it over here. Try student ID is equals to 1, execute, and then see 1 is gone and only 2 is available over here, right? 2 is available over here from the list. Let's say I'm going to delete 2 as well. So now everything is gone. There is nothing, right? There is blank. So my delete is also working properly fine. So all of these 5 API that I have created so far, so all of these 5 APIs are working fine. And with the help of all of these 5 APIs, I'm able to do each and everything with respect to the the data or whatsoever I want inside my system. So let me ping you this piece of the code. Now here's the code. Yeah. So now use it. Use this one. Fine, everyone. So any question? Yes. Any question? No? Okay. So now in this API, if there is no question, so let's move to the very, very important chapter. So this is basically like, you can write the APIs even inside the production. So you will be able to write the API in the similar manner, basically. So now let's try to understand a couple of more things inside the API, because there is a lot of things you will be able to find out with respect to the APIs. Now, if you are able to understand these things here, so now you are going to use any framework out there, maybe a Node.js, maybe a Java you can try to use. It's like going to be same. Syntactically, obviously, you have to adopt a Java syntax or maybe a Node syntaxes. But yes, more or less, it is going to be same. Basically conceptually it is not going to be different. Now here, so let's try to understand something called as a user agent, or you can say a header, right? Header, again, very very important part if I'll talk about this one. So let me do some sort of an import over here for a header. I believe I have not done that. So from fast API, I would like to import what I would like to import a header, header, header. And from typing annotated is already there. Fine. So this is a new things, guys, that you have to import header, right? header, header, you have to import it. Now let me explain you, and it's a very amazing concept, by the way, and I believe none of you are aware about this particular one which I'm going to teach you, right? You must have seen that, but yeah, you don't know, like, how does that work actually, right? So here, let's say I'm trying to, create an API, and that API should return the browser information, right? That API should take basically a API key and then do the authentication. That API should take some sort of a message or maybe some sort of a IP address it should try to return, and many more things, right? So how I will be able to configure those things with respect to the API? Let's try to understand. So here, let's say I'm going to create an API, right? So def browser, BROW, def browser. And what it does, so basically it is going to show you a browser information. So how it will be able to show you browser information? So there is a variable or parameter called as user agent you can try to use, and then you can try to annotate basically. So annotated this one, and annotated with what? So annotated with str, and then here by default value is going to be none, and then just try to call header, header header over here as a function, and then default value is equal to none in capital, let's say none. Fine. I have written this, and you will see the magic, by the way, right? You will see the magic. I think there is extra. No. Oh, none should come inside this one. Okay. So now I can write it over here that let's return what? A very simple thing. So return a browser, and return BROW browser. And what we are going to return? So basically we are going to return this user agent. Yeah, we are going to basically return this user agent. So here, basically, let's say I'm going to create as a get request. So at the rate app dot get, and then here, so I'm going to create a route slash browser browser, control S. Now, if I'm going to test this API, let's see what it is going to return. Okay. So there is a browser, right? API that we have created. Now, if I'm going to basically execute this one, so what it is able to return? So browser Mozilla 5.0, Windows NT 10, Windows 64, Apple, WebKit. So basically, it is a Chrome, this, right? So basically, it is trying to return me the browser information which is coming from my user agent header, by the way, that okay, I do support this Mozilla and Chrome and all those things, by the way, with respect to this version, and Safari, right? And Safari, each and everything I do support. So this is something that it is trying to return by default, right? Not just that it is going to return. So I'll keep on adding a lot of things over here, and which you will be like see, and you will be like amazed, by the way. So here there is one which is basically a browser like a agent, right? So let's say I would want to basically go with the authentication, right? Authentication. So let me show you the authentication part, how this can be implemented again with the help of header itself. So I can try to basically write def auth, right? Auth. And here, so I can try to basically provide x underscore API underscore key. Fine. X underscore API underscore key. Unless I do like a do a annotation. So annotation wise, I'm going to provide over here. Annotation wise. So str and then none str, and yeah, so default value is none, and then header coming from header itself, HEADR header. And here I can write like none if nothing is provided. Fine. So now here, let's say you have to provide the key, right? You have to provide the API key. For example, whenever you will try to use any kind of a URI model, so you have to provide a URI API key. And whenever you will try to access it, so it try to verify with our server, right? So whenever you create an API key, it stores those API key into a databases. And whenever you are going to send the request, so it check whether this API key is valid or not. If it is valid, pass that request. Otherwise, fail that request. So see, exact same thing I'm trying to show you, right? Exact same thing I'm trying to show you over here. That if in a condition you have written that if person is providing the API key is not equal to, let's say, not equal to, let's say, Euron 123. Yeah, I mean, like, this is the API key, let's suppose, which has been created. I can like create any kind of API key, XYZ whatsoever that I want, right? So if this API key is not equal to this one, a password check basically. So in that case, first of all, raise what? HTTP exceptions, and then inside that status code is equals to 401, right? 401, that your API key is like not matching. And then here, detail wise, DTIL, yeah, it should not be S. So detail wise, your key is not valid, right? Your key is not valid. Otherwise, if this is not a case, right? So otherwise, do one thing, return. Return what? So let's say return a message saying that message, you are authorized. Message, you are authorized. So now this is a very simple one, but I will be able to achieve it with the help of header, because in a header, we always try to send what? We always try to send those APIs key, right? So here by default, this is the value in a real time. So I will try to fetch from a database and then I'll try to do the comparison. Maybe I can try to even adopt a JWT token based approach. That is also possible. There are multiple approaches. This is one of the simplest one in terms of doing a verification, that whenever someone is calling some sort of endpoints, which you also call URI endpoint for embedding, URI endpoint for a text. So same point of a time, you have to basically pass a key as well. And so that will be able to verify. So now here, so let me write app.get in this particular place, and then profile profile. Let's say I'm going to create an endpoint profile, or maybe let's say create with the method name as well, auth. Okay. So with auth, I'm going to call it. Now here, so let's go ahead and let's try to test it. Yeah. So auth is done. And then here, so description is basically X API key, right? Description is X API key. Now here I have to provide a X API key. So let's say I'm going to provide, X API key, which is equal to this one, Euron 123, right? So Euron 123, execute. Now here, so you are authenticated. Yeah, you are authenticated. So I'm able to get the proper authentication and see how it is sending inside a curl as well, right? So X API key is equals to Euron 123. This is how it is trying to send as a part of header, right? As a part of header. This is the magic of a header. You will be able to see it over here. Now, if I'm going to send 1, 2, 3, 4, execute. So 1, 2, 3, 4, execute, I'm trying to send over here. Your API key is not valid, right? Your API key is not valid. So this is how you will be able to, create a system which will create some API key with certain length. And then again, just you have to validate it. And then only person will be able to access some sort of a one or other resources. So let me ping you this piece of the code. You can try to test it out in your system, right? So again, when you're trying to create some authentication based system like a URI or something, so you can try to use this one. Along with that, so let me show you something more with respect to the header only. Yeah, header only. So API key is one thing. Let's say I have to showcase language, LNGUAG language inside the header. So I will be copying this. Yeah. So language, instead of like a API key, I'm going to remove it, and then ACCEPT except underscore ln language annotated, and then a string none header, and then none. Fine. So same thing, and then here, so return what? So return basically language, and language should be equal to the accepted language, right? So return it. Now here, so at the rate app dot get, and get what? So get basically LNGUAG language. Sorry, language. That's fine. So language. Now there is another notation basically I've created. So except language, LN. No, this spelling is wrong. LNGUAG language. LNGUAG. Yeah. Okay. So let's go and check what it is going to return. So all of these things are basically a header entity. So language, right? Try this out. And then I'm going to like execute it. And language ENUS ENQ 0.9. So this is the language which is supporting. So it is going to return it. So this is also a part of your header, right? It's everything. All of these things are basically a part of the header, which I'm able to test it. And if you're going to make this spelling mistake, right? Or any other spelling mistakes, it is not going to work, by the way. So these are basically a predefined entities inside the header, by the way. Yeah. So it's a predefined entity for this particular API. Now, similarly, so let's suppose I'm testing for a language. I'll copy the same. I'll change a couple of things. So this time, let's check for the host. So I'm going to change the method name host host. And here, so except language wise, host host, a string, none, these things, and then host host over here. So all of these things are just a header, host, control S, right? So now let me test the API with respect to the host. Language, host. Write out, execute, and then it is going to return host is what? So host is basically 127.0.0.1 8000. That is my host, that is my machine, right? So in whatsoever machine you are going to return, write it down. So it is going to return you that particular host. So here I'm able to get the host as well. So this is again coming from the header. So these are the inbuilt one, right? These are the basically inbuilt one, all this header part, right? So you can write all of these things together if you want. So user agent, host, accept language, all of these things you can write all together, and then you will be able to call it in a one single sort. You can even try to create your own custom header. That is also going to work, right? So whatsoever you would like to showcase, you will be able to technically showcase it. Yeah, that's also basically possible. Yeah. Okay. So now let's try to basically create some sort of a authorization header. Let's say JWT based authorization header. We can try to create it. So let me copy the same. Okay. So here, let's say I'm writing auth. I have already created, right? So let's write like SCCURE secure. Fine. My endpoint is also going to be secure, let's say. And here, so it should not be host AUTHO RIZA TION authorization. So annotation is string, none header, everything is fine. And then authorization is equals to authorization. Okay. So this is control S. Now here, so if I'll go and check. Okay. So secure is there. Now try this out, execute. Now here authorization is equals to null, which I'm able to get it, right? Authorization is equals to null. I'm able to get it over here. So here let's say authorization is equals to something I'm going to pass. Now execute. Now authorization is equals to this one. It is trying to basically showcase. So this is how this authorization is going to work. By the way, guys, you can try to basically write authentication under the hood. You can try to write the logic. Authorization. No, this spelling was wrong. Let me check. It should give me bearer, by the way. This is where the authorization comes into picture. It was not giving me bearer. That's the reason. So I thought that my spelling is having some issues. Execute authorization null, fine. When I'm giving this, there's this. Authorization, fine. It is trying to pass this. Control Shift R. Try it out. Execute. Fine. Auth is null. It should give me bearer, by the way, because authorization takes a bearer and then it takes the string. So let's say I'm going to pass something. Okay, let me pass AARER, bearer, and then bearer. It's not working. Let me check what is the issue with this piece of a header. Okay, so it is giving me that I should add the authorization. So header, and here I have to add one more things called as alias, by the way. Okay, let's test it. This was missing. It is telling me that I should add this one. Execute, execute, try it out, execute. Fine, authorization is null. Still, it's not working. Bearer. Okay, I just have to check this authorization parameter, how why it is not giving me, because it should give you basically like authorization bearer kind of a things. This is what we are using even inside a URI. So it's a bearer key, and with bearer key, so we try to send the request for authorization. What is the business use case of header? As you can see, so if you have to print a host name in which machine something is running, if you have to return the language, if you have to return basically the authorization, and then only you are going to allow to use something. If you have to, check in which browser they are trying to run things. So all of these things you will be able to get from where? Header, basically. I have to test it in a Postman, or I have to do a curl, by the way. Let me do a curl, guys. Basically, it's a issue with the Swagger UI, so they don't show it up in a. So here's URL curl, and let me write a header for this one, and let me write a authorization. So authorization is basically this, and then here bearer, and then I can write something over here, and my endpoint. So my endpoint is this slash secure. This slash se secure. No, it should work. Curl hyphen h authorization. There is this one. Now it is telling me, yeah. So basically, like it was an issue with the Swagger UI. So now this is what I was looking for. So here authorization is equals to this bearer. This one I have given. So it was not able to take it inside the Swagger UI. But yeah, so whatsoever I'm trying to give over here, so now it is able to take it, right? So here, whatsoever authorization which I'm trying to pass, so yeah, it is able to show it to me. So fine. So it was having an issue with respect to a Swagger UI, this UI, but yes, it is working basically inside my command prompt. Now I can even try to use a header for doing my API versioning. So for example, let's say if I have to create an API, and every time I have to basically create a version of an API, so I can try to create that as well. So let's say here, so I'm going to change this one as a version, version, right? And here, so API version, API underscore version. Let's suppose I have given and return what? So return version is equals to API version. As simple as that. And here endpoint is VRSION version. Fine. So here I can try to use it for doing a API versioning. So for example, if I would like to give API version is equals to 2 or something, so yes, I will be able to basically do it. So version, and then here I can try to execute it. Version is there, try it out, execute. And then as of now, as you can see, version is equals to null. I can try to basically what happens? Authorizations. Oh, I might not have received removed this one. I have to remove this. Control S. Okay, so now execute. And then let's say if I'm trying to check it out without giving a version, so version is equal to null. Let's say if I'm giving like version is equal to 2, so yeah, it is going to take that as a version is equals to 2. And then I can try to, store it as you can see inside the header, right? So with the help of this version, so I will be able to do the versioning of the API. All of these things are possible. Along with that, so you will be able to see a content type. So basically JSON content type, XML content type. So that also you will be able to print it. That is also coming from the header itself. Maybe quickly I can show you demo content. Content. So here the variable name for that one is UNTNT content underscore TYP type. So content type and then here return. So simple control S. So here what will happen? So let's say if I'm and let me create a post request. Okay. So now here let's execute it and let's try to test this API. Version content. Now here, so try it out. And I'm going to execute this one in the first place. So as of now, content type is equal to null. Let's suppose if I'm going to provide generally, you will be able to see that application basically slash JSON. So it will be able to return you basically content type is equal to application JSON, except application JSON. It should be this one. It should show me the content type. I'm just trying to pass the string. So it should technically show me like, content type is equal to JSON over here. This is what I was like, expecting from this post request. But yeah, anyhow, so this is how you will be able to showcase basically a content type as well. So these are something which is inbuilt one, which is coming from the like now basically which is coming from a default one. So header, one of the important entities that you are supposed to understand and you are supposed to remember. So while you are trying to use the API, is it making sense, guys? Any question? Yeah, one more thing, one more example, very interesting one. So cookies reading. So let's say there is a cookies, right? And if you would like to like read that one, so even for cookies, so there is header which you or there is something called as COO, uh, capital COOKIE, cookie is available. Cookie is available. So you can try to use a cookies and then you can try to read it out, which every website does. So here, how you will be able to enable cookies? So COOKIE cookie underscore demo. Let's say I'm writing, and then over there. So I will try to copy the same. Here I'll try to replace it with the session ID, SCSSION session underscore ID. So this variable is going to basically store, guys, the cookies part, by the way, at any point of a time. And instead of header, so just try to call what? Just try to call the cookies, COOKIE cookie. Just try to call cookies over here. So cookies, and then you can try to return what? So return cookie, and then in that it is going to return you the. So from here you will be able to capture cookies. Now let's try to use it. So app dot get what? Cookie. So now if I'm going to test it, so as of now, cookie is null. If I'm going to pass a session ID over here, so it is going to return me the cookies. So this is what you will be able to see. I mean, like client IP or maybe a cookies, maybe a URL, maybe a method, anything, right? Anything or everything. If you would like to access, you will be able to access each and everything from, using a header, by the way, or maybe a cookies. You will be able to handle it. Very, very simple. One more thing. So there is another thing you have to understand, something called as a request. So let me import request over here. REQUEST, requests. Request, yes, request. So now let me show you a small example of a request. So let's say, someone is trying to send the hit, and then they would like to, uh, check what is the request which has been sent, what was the method, what was the URL, what was the client IP address. So each and everything you will be able to find out with the help of, this particular request that we have done as an import. So here, def request underscore info, if I have to take it. So request is going to behave as a pydantic class, by the way. Request comma re request, and then here what you are supposed to do, so just write a return, and inside a return, so you can try to write variable in your way, method, let's suppose method, and then in the method request dot method, let's say I'm going to map it, and then I would like print a URL. So yeah, request dot URL, I will be able to print it. And let me convert that into a string and show it to you. And if I would like to print IP address, so I will be able to print that as well. Request dot client dot host if request dot client, else none. So this is again one of the amazing library which is available inside the Fast API, the request library, right? So header is there, cookie is there, request is there. So at the rate app dot get, and then request underscore info. This is my endpoint. Now let's see what happens. Request dot info. Try it out and then execute. Now here, so once you are going to execute it, so method is equal to get. Yes, so method is equal to get. This is what I have sent, right? URL was what? So 127.0.0.1 8000 request info. So this was the URL at which I have sent the request. And then what is the IP address where I have sent the request? So my IP address is 127.0.0.1, which is my local host. So I'm sending this request to my local host at the end of the day. So this is how you will be able to even track each and everything. So whenever request is coming, so all of these things are in a small pieces, but everything is actually been used whenever you are writing a final system, so that you will be able to keep track of each and everything. So this is where a request comes into basically the picture. Make sense, guys? Everyone? Yes. Okay. Now there is a request, right? Let me show you response now. So there is a something called as from fast API dot response response. responses, yeah, responses basically. Import HTML response. Fine. So this is the library. Now here, so let's say, I would like to, like, request something, and I would like to get a response in a HTML body. I mean, like the web page, right? In that format, I would like to like see some sort of a request return. So def, let's say I'm writing HTML function, and here, so one page basically, let's say HTML page. So HTML underscore page. So I would like to showcase a page. I would like to return page. So return. So far we have been returning like a string or maybe a dictionary. So here I would like to maybe return something like, convert this one into HTML, and then slash HTML, open close. Inside that, so let's say I'm creating body, again slash body, open close. And inside that, I'm going to create, let's say, one header, h1 slash h1. This is my own page. Yeah. So basically, I have written this one, and as you can see, this is my HTML which I have written, right? It's a basic HTML that I have written over here. Now I just want my system to give me a response as a HTML. So how I will be able to do that? So here, let me decorate app dot get. So whenever they are going to call this HTML underscore page, or whenever someone is going to call this endpoint, let's say HTML, whenever someone is going to call, so I'm saying that give me a response. So res response, response underscore cls double class is equals to what? So response class should always be HTML response. So whenever you are giving me a response, so always try to give me a HTML response at any point of a time. So let's see how it is going to work. You can even execute that in a browser. Request info HTML, right? Try this out, execute. And here, so this is how it is trying to give it to me. Now let's copy this URL. Let's copy it here. This is my own page, right? So it is trying to give you technically a complete HTML responses, right? Complete HTML responses in a browser. It is trying to give it to you. So this is how you will be able to get this kind of a response at any point of a time. Now there is something called as, a redirect response. So here, REDI, redirect response. So this is another one, another class you will be able to, another module you will be able to find out. So let me write one small function for that. So let's say, someone is going to call my endpoint, right? So let's say I have created an endpoint called as at the rate app dot get, and I have created endpoint call as test, right? So when someone is hitting this endpoint test, so what it should do, redirect to what? So whatsoever I want to this one, it will be able to basically, redirect basically. So here it should return what? So it should return this redirect response. And let's say if I have written over here that whenever someone is going to call slash test, just try to redirect it to https colon slash Euron dot one. Means whenever someone is going to call slash test, send it over here, right? So whenever someone is going to call this particular path, so you have to send it in this particular place. Very, very simple, amazing, and very useful. So now let's go ahead. Let's try to test it. Execute. Or colon slash test. What happened? It's got stuck. App test fine Euron.1 redirect. That looks good to me. Cannot import a redirect response. Okay, there is an issue with the redirect response name. Let me check and execute. Rectify it. Okay. So Control S. Now save it. Hmm. So now as you can see, so here I'm calling what? I'm calling basically, let's say I'm going to call, right? This one. So let's say I'm going to call this URL, right? It is I'm going to call this URL. So now whenever I'm calling this URL, see 127.0.0.1/test, right? So it will redirect to the Euron.1. As simple as that. So if I have to write the redirection, so I can write the redirection as an API as well, and someone can call it as an API, even my redirection, which is generally been used, right? Which is generally been used at any point of a time. So this is again another API that we are able to write down for a redirection. So many APIs we have written, guys. So many, I believe. Yes, so many. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 APIs we have written so far. Okay. So this is how we can try to do a redirection. Now there is something called as JSON response. So again, which is coming from the response itself. So in some of the cases, you would want to basically, get a JSON response, right? JSON response. So JavaScript object notation response, basically like a dictionary kind of a response you will be looking for. So you can do that as well. So custom JSON, and then here, so return retu return, and let's say I would like to get a JSON response. So as a return, I can write, and then inside that I can write whatsoever I want. Status status, you know, code is equals to 200. Let's say I have written CNTNT content. I have written, let's say, whatsoever I want, I can write it. Success is equals to true. Message is equals to, let's say I'm going to write. So in a JSON, I can write with any level of testing. It is going to work, by the way. So let's say if someone would like a call app.get custom JSON. If someone is going to call this path, they will be able to execute this one, and it's going to return technically a JSON response. So here I can go and I can try to test this out. Custom JSON, try this out, execute. And yeah, so it is basically a JSON. So here you will be able to see JSON it is trying to return. Very, very simple. So I can return basically a JSON response as well. Now let's talk about something called as file upload. So how I will be able to write an API, so by which I will be able to upload the file, because again, uploading a file is something that we do in every application. So maybe going forward, Blob or S3, in which, or maybe Drive, you will be uploading it. But even we can test it in our local. So how we can update it, upload the files. So let's write basically that API for uploading a file. So I'll be writing like a two upload file function APIs. So one for uploading a single file, one for uploading a multiple files. So there is a model called as upload file. So now let's try to use this particular module and write the code for uploading the files. So here we can write a async function so that it should not block my resources. So def upload underscore file. And then here, so I can write file, and then I can write like an annotation over here, annotated. And then inside that, I can write the condition that upload files, this one, upload file, and then I can call basically file. So I should call file as well. Okay. So file. Now, once this is basically which will help you out in terms of uploading the file. So here I will be writing a variable called as CONTNT content. TNT content. Now content is what? So let me write await over here. So await file dot read. So it will try to read the file and then return what? So return file name, and here file name is nothing but file dot file name is nothing but file dot file name, and then content type. So content type is nothing but file dot content type, and then size nothing but length of content. So this is going to help me out in terms of uploading a file, and that too by using async await, so that it should not block the resources at any point of a time. App dot post I'm going to use, and then slash upload underscore file. Now let's say this is my route which I have written. Now let's go ahead and let's try to test this particular route. Just for uploading, not for saving. So I can save that file as well. So once I will be able to get file over here inside a content, then I can do whatsoever I want with that particular content. Upload file fast API response fine. No, so it is available inside my fast API directly. So this is a wrong import. That is a reason. Fast API response, right? Leave it. I will be updating here. Now it's fine. Upload file, right? Now try this out. Try this out. And then here, so Swagger UI, you will be able to see the option called as choose file, right? Choose file. Now here, so I'm going to choose this particular file, click open, right? Execute. And then here, so file name is basically API theory PDF, content type application slash PDF, and then size is equal to 179 something. So whatsoever kilobyte or whatsoever was there. So now it is able to show it to me. So with the help of this one, we are able to write the API by which I will be able to upload any kind of a file of my choice. And yeah, it is like going to basically work for me, right? So image PNG, I'm able to upload. So this is how you will be able to basically upload a file. So you can write an API by which anyone can call it and anyone will be able to upload the file. A very important API, I would say, right? A very, very important API. Now, this is basically giving you an option to upload one single file. You will not be able to select a multiple files. Now, let's say if I have to upload a multiple file, then how I will be able to technically use it. So I'll be using same function. I just have to make a small changes over there. So upload multi file. Let's say this is the option which I have written. Let me change a method name as well, just to remove the confusion, right? And then here, so what you are supposed to call files, files you have to call over here. And then here, so you are not supposed to write this annotation. So simple write list and then upload file. Yeah, just try to call list upload file so that it will be able to accept the multiple file. And then just try to remove this as of now, as it's a multiple file that we are trying to read out over here. So just there will be a multiple file, so we can write a comprehension. And yeah, so for file in files. So for file in files, so files is something that it will try to take, and then file. So file dot this. So whatsoever file that you are going to upload, for everything, it is going to give you file name, content type, and a content type only. Length, no. Okay. So let me just show you this part. Yeah. Let me just show you this particular part. So here, I'll just go refresh, upload the multiple file, try this out. Now choose file. Choose. Okay. Yes, all of this file I have added, and then like it is able to read out all those files. And again, further whatsoever like operation you would like to do it with respect to file, you will be able to do it. So this is how we are able to upload basically a like uh, multiple files. So again, very useful like API that we all try to use it everywhere, means literally everywhere. So make sense, guys? Yes. Okay, so I think it's a time now. Going forward, so I'm going to teach you more about a security around the API. Security plus like a scale. So for example, there is something called as rate limiting. There is a lot of like a injections which happens with respect to API. So how to like write a API or again the API is going to be like similar, but yeah, how to basically protect these APIs from a injections. Plus, there is something called as course. So, what is the meaning of course? By the way, how we can try to make it like when front end and back end communicate. So, all of these things will be running on a different port number and IP address, so different origins. What is actually meaning of that, and then how we can try to handle the course, how we can try to allow, how we can try to disallow, many more things around the security and a communication of an API will come into picture, so that your front end back end it will be able to communicate at the end of the day. So that is something that we'll try to explore in our next class. Make sense, guys? Yeah. So hope all of you have enjoyed and all of you are learning something that you have like never learned so far. Can you please explain about the async and await? See, async and await simply means that like a kind of a function, so which is not going to block the resources. By default, all the function that we are writing. So, for example, def we are doing def and then function name, right? So by default, all the functions are basically a blocker function. Means if that function is running, unless and until it is not going to stop itself, it will not release the resources. But what async await combination does or async itself does, that it is going to create a asynchronous function. So if one is like running and if it is taking time, so it can leave the resources so that other will be able to take over and other will be able to use the same resources, right? That's the meaning of async await. Okay, fine, guys. So that's it from my side. If you have any questions, so put that question. And I believe today is 15, right? Tomorrow is the last date for your exam. So please make sure that you are attending your exam. I think 16 is the last date, which I remember, right? So make sure that you are attending the exam and yes, submit. Can anyone tell me like what is your count on YouTube video Python? Basically Python playlist. You use authorization with the get header and don't we use a post here? Yeah, we are going to use a post over here, but let's say if I'm dealing with the header, right? So I can call get as well. And I'll show you basically. So what happens when you are trying to send it via header? So it is not going to expose that data. I'll show you that part as well. So Anu is 51. Okay, I believe the highest one. Then we have a Babhab 45. Then Ankit 14. Okay, then Akash we have 10. Amazing. I think 3 upload plus needed to upload 15 video recorded. Oh, so just upload it, no? Upload it. Yeah, amazing. 14 days take on Python tutorial daily, one video. Okay, okay. Maybe you can try to increase a little bit. So fine, everyone. With that, thank you so much. I believe we are learning something new. Like, that's the whole idea. And this API part is very important. Doesn't matter what kind of a system you are going to build. Technically, it's a backend, middleware, and front end communication. Also, I have to teach you middleware. So, what is the meaning of middleware, and how do we create a middleware in a API? That also I'll teach you in the next class. So middleware. So a lot of things. Because if you understand API, if you know API, right? If you know everything in API, believe me, you will never get stuck in terms of writing a backend. And then in this API backend layer, you have to execute your models or agents or RAG, whatsoever you want, right? So then there will be an AI layer which will come into picture. So this is a part of a core software engineering. Without this, none of the system in this entire world can be built without these like a knowledge, right? So yeah. So fine, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care. See you again. Attend the exam. Complete the entire playlist before 30 days. Right. So thank you so much. Take care, guys. Take care, everyone. Good night.